The Whisper in the Dark. Sarah had always considered herself a skeptic. Ghost stories, superstitions, and urban legends were amusing, but she never believed any of it. To her, the world was a place of logic and science. So, when she moved into the old Victorian house on Elmwood Street, she brushed aside the strange history the realtor had mentioned. Something about the previous owners leaving abruptly and never coming back. She chalked it up to the kind of gossip small towns thrive on. The house was charming, with creaky wooden floors and high ceilings that echoed every sound. There was a slight chill in the air that the heater never quite managed to banish, but Sarah figured it was part of the house's age and character. She had lived there for about a month when the whispers began night one. The first whisper. It was a quiet evening. The rain tapped gently against the windows, and Sarah was curled up on the couch with a mug of tea and a good book. Just as she was about to turn the page, she heard it. A faint, almost inaudible whisper. "Sarah." She froze, her breath caught in her chest. The voice was soft, like the rustling of leaves, and it seemed to come from her bedroom upstairs. She strained her ears, waiting to hear it again, but the only sound was the rain. Shaking her head, she laughed nervously. "Just my imagination," she muttered, turning back to her book. But deep down, a flicker of unease settled in her stomach. Night 2. Louder. Now the second night, the whisper returned. This time it was louder, clearer. "Sarah, come closer." She bolted upright in bed, her heart hammering. The voice came from her closet. She stared at the closed door, her mind racing. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. No answer. Gathering her courage, she grabbed the bedside lamp, unplugged it, and crept toward the closet. Her hand trembled as she reached for the handle. She yanked the door open, the light from the lamp spilling into the small space. Nothing, just her clothes hanging neatly and a pile of old boxes she hadn't unpacked yet. She let out a shaky laugh. "Get a grip, Sarah, you're scaring yourself." But as she closed the closet door, she swore she saw something, just for a split second. A shadow, darker than the rest of the room, slipping into the corner and disappearing. Night 3. The Warning. By the third night, Sarah was on edge. She stayed up late, trying to distract herself with movies and snacks. But as the clock struck midnight, the whisper came again. "Sarah, don't ignore me." Her blood turned to ice. This time, the voice was more insistent, almost angry. She didn't dare go upstairs. Instead, she grabbed her phone and called her best friend, Rachel. "Hey, Rach, can you come over? I think something's wrong with my house." Rachel arrived within 20 minutes, armed with a flashlight and a baseball bat. Sarah felt a wave of relief as she let her friend in. "You're sure you heard something?" Rachel asked, glancing around the house. "I'm not crazy," Sarah insisted. "It's coming from my closet. You have to hear it to believe me." They went upstairs together, Rachel leading the way. The closet door stood closed, as if daring them to open it. "All right," Rachel said, gripping the bat tightly. "On 3, 1, 2. Before she could say 3, the closet door creaked open by itself. Nightmares and secrets. Rachel screamed, dropping the bat, but Sarah stepped forward, her fear giving way to anger. "What do you want?" she shouted into the empty closet. For a moment there was silence. Then the whisper came again, echoing through the room. "Leave, before it's too late." The words sent chills down their spines. Rachel grabbed Sarah's arm. "We're leaving. Now." But Sarah hesitated. "What if it's trying to warn me? What if—" Rachel shook her head. "Or what if it's trying to lure you in? Come on." Reluctantly, Sarah agreed, and they spent the night at Rachel's apartment. But Sarah couldn't sleep. The whisper replayed in her mind, over and over. The history of the house. The next morning, Sarah did some research on the house. She combed through old newspaper archives and town records. What she found made her stomach churn. In the early 1900s, the house had belonged to a man named Edward Grayson, a reclusive artist. He was rumored to have dabbled in dark rituals, using his art to channel spirits. Neighbors reported strange noises coming from the house at night, and several people who visited never returned. Eventually, Edward vanished without a trace. More recently, the house had been owned by a young couple who moved out after only 6 months, claiming the house was cursed. Sarah's hands trembled as she closed her laptop. Could the whispers be Edward or one of the spirits he summoned? Confrontation. That night, Sarah decided to face whatever was haunting her. Armed with a flashlight and a journal to record what happened, she sat in her bedroom and waited. The DA